35.
All year, the Ravens defense has made a lot of noise. Now hear us roar.
It's picked off. Ray Lewis has the ball.
We're going to come to the Raiders' defense.
The Ravens haven't been here before as a team. But I can assure you, we will be sharp.
And the place is going
The Raiders will find us very offensive.
Touchdown, Raiders!
Come on!
Touchdown, Lewis.
We're going into the black hole. And we're coming out with a smile.
We'll see about that. What you gonna do when the black hole comes for you?
They play with the big boys now, baby. Let's go!
It has been almost a quarter of a century since the city of Oakland last played host to the AFC Championship game, and you can hardly blame the fans in the East Bay for wanting to celebrate a return to glory. Today they'll witness a contest between an immovable object, Baltimore middle linebacker Ray Lewis, the league's defensive MVP, and an irresistible force, Oakland running back Tyrone Wheatley, who fuels the NFL's top rushing attack. Ravens quarterback Trent Dilfer, a Tampa Bay cast-off, has come off the bench to lead Baltimore to 9 straight victories. And then there's Rich Gannon, who has keyed the Raiders' resurgence. He's waited 13 seasons for this moment. Coming up, the Ravens play the Raiders for a trip to Super Bowl 35. And the NFL today is live in the East Bay on this perfect day for football. In the 50s, calm winds, and we're coming to you right from the heart of the famed Black Hole fan section. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Nance, and welcome to our special AFC Championship game edition of the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. And as we get set for the title showdown between Baltimore and Oakland, the Lamar Hunt Trophy is going to be on the line shortly. It is presented each year to the AFC champion, and I'm proud to be joined by my partners, Mike Ditka and Craig James, and Randy Cross and Jerry Glanville. Collectively, these gentlemen have played and coached in 20 championship games. Mike, what is this day all about?
Well, what this is all about, Jim, is everything that's happened all year. All the meetings, all the off-season conditions, all the sweating. Forget about it. It's all cut. But got to put it on the line today. The coaches are telling them, this is it. Don't take anything off the field. Leave it out there.
And and you can't take anything for granted. This is a perfect environment for football. I came out here, they got Led Zeppelin going, the rock and roll music. Your Grabowski dance wouldn't work here. I sat and watched Shannon Sharp and Michael McCray walk into the end zone in front of the black hole over here. And what they did, McCray went on the grass in front of these violent fans and he spit on the grass. He's saying, we don't care. We don't care about you guys. That set the plate.
Well, a little something for the casual fans out there, folks. If you listen for the name Lewis, whether it's Jamal Lewis running the ball, Jermaine Lewis returning the ball, Ray Lewis tackling, or Marvin Lewis leading the defense of the Baltimore Ravens, these are all Ravens. We're not rooting for anybody, but listen, if they do well, it's good for Baltimore. If they do well, if they do poorly, it's real good for Oakland. Watch for the Lewises.
Well, you're talking about the Lewis, the power forward. You mentioned Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is the key. It's his job to take the scrambling and the running quarterback, just like last week. And you can imagine Rich Gannon. If this is Rich Gannon getting hit by Ray Lewis, the Raiders will be done. The Raiders are here only because of Gannon. He's got to stay away from this.
Hey, Jerry, remember how you and Mike debated last week whether he would be fined for that tackle?
Yes.
We have learned, the NFL Today breaking this story, the Ravens middle linebacker Ray Lewis was slapped a $7,500 fine by the league for driving quarterback Steve McNair into the ground. $7,500 fine to Lewis. Right now, though, let's check in. On the field, we have two reports, and we're going to begin with Bonnie Bernstein on the visitors' sideline. Bonnie, take it away.
Hi there, Jim. Well, Jamal Lewis has powered Baltimore's run game all season, but he struggled last week against Tennessee. He's kind of hit that proverbial rookie wall, and he will get some help today from Priest Holmes. Holmes took about 60% of the reps in practice this week, and that's in part because Brian Billick said, yes, he will spell Lewis, but also they're going to run more two-back sets than usual to give Trent Dilfer an option to hand off to. A couple other notes. Safety Kim Herring will not start for the second straight game. He's got a high ankle sprain. Corey Howard will replace him. And Shannon Sharp did not take the team flight out here on Friday to attend the funeral of a friend, but he arrived here Saturday morning, and he's due to start. Now for what's going on the Raiders sideline, let's send you over to Armin Gattegui.
Thanks, Bonnie. On the injury front for the Raiders, first of all, Napoleon Kaufman, their running back, is out of this game, suffering a knee injury last week. But John Ritchie, their fullback, returns to the lineup. Two things are going to happen here. He's been out with this high ankle sprain for 4 weeks. He's back today. That'll help in two ways. One, the blocking attack against Ray Lewis, and two, Ritchie's ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. One other note, Darrell Russell, defensive tackle, has been under a lot of stress this week, criticism for his unemotional play during the season. I spoke to him before the game. He said, I had a real hard time sleeping last night. I wanted to play this game yesterday. Jim?
All right, Armin, we know this. The winner of this game will be taking on the New York Giants in Super Bowl 35. Just a few minutes remaining, and Minnesota has been manhandled from the start by the Giants. 41-0 behind Kerry Collins. Huge day, 5 touchdown passes. And a reminder, you can log on to CBS Sports Line at halftime of today's game and chat live with NFL coordinators Chan Gailey and Tim Lewis. They will be answering your questions about the game at cbs.sportsline.com. Still ahead, they shared a commitment to excellence. Marcus Allen and his fellow Raiders alumni will explore this team's unique mystique. We'll be visiting with them. What an atmosphere we have today. A Raider reunion, and Leslie Visser has the story of Baltimore's Trent Dilfer and his Oakland counterpart Rich Gannon, two quarterbacks who've scrambled to the top the hard way. We'll be right back. Warming up to face the Raiders, Baltimore's talented and talkative tight end has won his last 9 postseason games when you include his 7, the last 7 he had with Denver, and the 2 this year. We welcome you back to the NFL today. 2 weeks ago against his old team, the Broncos, Sharp snared a jump ball, deflected pass, turned it into a 58-yard touchdown against the Broncos. But the man who threw the pass, Trent Dilfer, and his counterpart today, Rich Gannon, have been in the right place all season long. Leslie Visser joins us now. And how about these 2 quarterbacks in the championship game?
Yeah, Jim, these are 2 character actors who wound up with the lead, and I think Trent Dilfer, who you know is from the Bay Area, would like to show he's more than window dressing. Well, okay, admit it. When you think of a Super Bowl quarterback, what flashes into your mind? Namath, Elway, Montana. What about Gannon or Dilfer? Well, one has waited 13 years to lead a team. The other might be going back to Tampa Bay, not to sit on the bench, but to start in the Super Bowl.
It can be a profound experience for a quarterback to be 60 minutes from the Super Bowl. 60 minutes of adrenaline, emotion, anger, and pride. 60 minutes for a course of action that will result in glory or pain. How do you describe your journey?
It's been tumultuous at times. I think it's been a long journey, but it's been a rewarding one. I feel like the hard work and all the effort that went into it is finally starting to pay off for me.
You never know what life has to throw you at. And I feel very fortunate that I was able to step back and face that adversity. And I really appreciate being hurt last year, sitting on the bench for a while this year. I think it made me a better person, a better football player, a better leader, all that stuff.
Gannon wears number 12, not in honor of Ken Stabler, but in homage to his boyhood idol, Joe Namath. Gannon isn't flashy, but he's secure.
You know, without Rich, we're not where we are, no doubt about it. You know, we've had a lot of talented quarterbacks here, but I think his ability to come in and just automatically adapt to what we're doing here, it's just been great.
The one thing about it, Rich is a winner. He wants to win.
Yeah, and look where you are.
Yeah, he's got us here.
Dilfer's led the Ravens to 9 straight wins, but he doesn't need to dazzle, just play within himself.
Because our defense is so good, you start taking unnecessary risks, and we don't want Trent to do that. If a play is there, he has to make that play. But if it's not, don't try to do something that you're not capable of doing.
In some ways, do you identify with Trent Dilfer?
Sure. I mean, here's in some ways. I mean, he was a first-round draft choice, but you know, his situation was tough. He went to a team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and struggled a little bit, and then had a chance to kind of jumpstart his career, and he's made the most of the opportunities.
He's what I believe the modern-day quarterback is. And that's somebody that's athletic, that can make plays when nothing's there. Everybody's better on that team because of him, and I think that's the greatest thing that can be said about you as a football player, especially as a quarterback.
Would you say both Trent and Rich, they can identify with each other having bounced around a little?
Sure. I mean, these guys have been through a lot. They've been heavily scrutinized. They've been told at some point by somebody they're not good enough to quarterback their team. But they've hung in there, and they've been given another opportunity, and look where they are now.
And in 60 minutes, one of them will be Tampa bound.
It would be quite a homecoming for Trent Dilfer. Well, both quarterbacks have played well lately. Dilfer has no turnovers in the postseason, and Gannon, who led all FC quarterbacks in rushing, is always a threat to run. In fact, Ken Stabler said that Gannon is a much better athlete than he is. Jim, it's a whole new world for recycled quarterbacks.
It really is. Kerry Collins is in. Will
Absolutely.
it be Dilfer or Gannon against Collins down at Tampa? Just a short time ago, Jerry was on the field for a closer look at Rich Gannon.
Okay, the Raiders are in this playoff game because of one guy, and that's Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon does it with his feet. Does not have that hard ball, Trent Dilfer, but makes all the right decisions, and his legs will get 2 or 3 first downs. Watch him throw the ball, a soft ball, not a hard ball, but a guy that does it with his mind and his legs.
All right, Jerry and Mike, let's go to the IBM Power Poll and break down the quarterbacks in this game today.
Well, Jim, they're both good athletes. I think everybody knows that. They both got good arms, but you got to give a big edge to Gannon. He's got a better surrounding cast, and he's mobile, and I think that's going to be the big difference today.
I think, you know, really when you talk about what Baltimore's going to try to do, they're going to try to get to him out there. I think, though, that they've got to find a way, Oakland does, to throw the football and take advantage of Baltimore's very aggressive defense coming up and supporting play action. When they fake the run, there's a little pocket back there behind the linebackers and the deep cover guys, and I think that's where Tim Brown, Randy, everybody knows, Brown likes to go across the middle of the field. Now, what will Baltimore do with that?
Well, it's also setting the tone, Craig. When you set the tone, you smack the receivers. And look for that early. Baltimore or Oakland, big hits early will set the tone. You're also looking at a situation for Baltimore, only your offense can't score. Special teams and defense have to score, and watch field position in this football game. I think the Raiders have a big edge because the Raiders have the better kickers overall.
All right, Randy. Leslie, thank you very much. And next, a short course in pride and poise. We're going to visit with some of the greatest names ever to don the fabled silver and black. Speaking of which, one of the current Raiders is warming up on the field. There he is, Tim Brown. What a season he's had. And as Greg said, he'll be intersecting with Ray Lewis a few times today. We'll be right back.
But it's a bunch of misfits, a bunch of discards that came together on Sunday. They were crazy on the field, but crazier off the field, Jim. But on Sunday, there was nobody better. They don't look tough, Jim, but this is some of the toughest guys that have ever played the game.
I'll never forget this guy in 1970. Now he's 73 years old, and I think he could still come in and win this game at the end today, George.
Well, I hope they don't need me today. This is a great day for the city of Oakland, for the organization, and particularly for Al Davis.
Yep.
Al's worked real hard to put this team together, and they got the right guy in John Gruden, and these fans are great, and it's going to be a great game.
It's going to be a great one. Tell me all about the Raider mystique. What is it, Ted?
I think it's something that wasn't invented or anything else. It just kind of like magical. It just appeared. And for some reason, it just helped the fans cheer and yell for us. And not only that, but somehow it gets the job done on the field. Little quirks like fumbles falling in the end zone and getting covered after 3 guys have touched it. And, just things like that really turn the games around.
It's a special thing. And George Atkinson, you're a lifetime Raider. You're still doing things with the club as a lot of former players are. What does a day like this mean to you? It's been since '76 since the Raiders hosted an AFC.
Well, it means a lot. It means that this organization is again committed to winning, and winning is what it's all about in the NFL. You know, that old saying, I think it was Jerry Glanville that said, if you don't win in the NFL means not for long.
That's right.
And the Raiders right now doing just that. They're back. John Gruden, you have to take your hats off to him. You have to take your hats off to Bruce Allen and Al Davis for putting this team together. This team was put together not by accident, but by design through John Gruden and his efforts as far as bringing in the kind of players that he wanted to play here.
Jimmy Plunkett, what about this game today? And Rich Gannon, like you in your pro career, really blossoming now in his 30s.
Yeah, he's been very fortunate in the sense that he came to the Raiders, put him in a perfect situation where they could use his skills. He's a young 34 years of age because he didn't play a whole lot, hadn't started much before he got to the Raiders, and he's a guy who keeps the ball alive either through scrambling, his running ability, or throwing the ball down the field. He's been a great addition to this Raider offense.
Thank you. Guys, who's going to win today? Need I ask? Raiders! Boy, this is not a throwback to everybody's past. Wonderful to see all of you. Thank you very, very much. All right, the two kickers for today's game, two good ones. Matt Stover of the Ravens, Sebastian Janikowski, the rookie for the Raiders. Perhaps this championship game could come down to one last-second swing of their powerful legs. We'll be right back to Oakland.
To be one of the beautiful people!
The black hole, that is somewhere you don't want to be unless you are fully decked out in Raider gear.
They're bizarre. They are the best. If we need to put pads on some of them and send them out there, they'll be ready to go.
I guess they have this mystique about them. It just came out of Rikers Island, you know, crazy people that just love the Raiders.
Whenever you have fans that are that loyal, you know, it makes you feel good to be what you are, and I'm a Raider.
And greetings from the black hole. And I bet you didn't know. It's your time to make the pick.
It's what it's all about. These are the greatest fans I've ever seen. They're nuts. I love it. I brought Chucky along.
I think I got to make a confession. I think I wet my pants. This is crazy. I'm going with Raiders win this game. Raiders take them.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I think this Raider football team has got Super Bowl written all over it. But what am I saying? I played for the Niners for 13 years. I'm going with Baltimore.
Oh, man. The Ravens got the best defense, the best kicker, but this is a home field advantage with Chucky.
Hey, it's a good thing that the fans around here can't hear you. Hey, how will the Raiders score touchdowns against the Ravens who don't give them up?
I don't think people give the Raiders offense enough credit. I mean, they were the leading rushing offense in the league. They move the ball around. They'll get the ball to everybody. They're going to open up the offense and get after the safeties of the Ravens.
I think really very important for the Baltimore Ravens to come into this game and stay focused on their game plan because it's very loud here right now. If the Ravens can focus on what their job is to do, Randy, they got a chance. If they get distracted, they're in trouble.
Well, the big thing is, Craig, the Raiders aren't going to make the mistakes, I don't think, that the Titans made. Titans outplayed them, and they played dumb.
I got no idea what anybody said, but we're all here because of Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon has created all of this.
They couldn't.
I think the guy behind me likes me.
What an atmosphere. It doesn't get any better than this. We'll see you back at halftime on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. For all the men and women of CBS Sports, stay tuned for the AFC Championship game on CBS.
Home of Super Bowl 35.
Experience the clarity of high-definition television from RCA, HD simulcast sponsor of this AFC Championship game.
They began in the heat of summer. Over 2,000 players on 31 teams in search of a common goal. In the AFC, only 2 teams remain, just 60 minutes away from a shot at Super Bowl silver. The Oakland Raiders have a sense of Super Bowl history, but haven't been to the big game in 17 long years. Their attack features a bruising back who sees his chance to erase unfulfilled promises.
I have some unfinished business. And now I'm this close.
And an ageless wide receiver whose championship dreams burn brighter than ever.
I've been in silver and black for 13 years. And now I'm this close.
They face a Baltimore Ravens squad riding a wave of emotion. Their calling card, a dominating defense revolving around the league's defensive MVP. His singular mission, to lead the Ravens to their first ever Super Bowl. And his mission is nearly complete.
So close, but yet so far. AFC Championship game is on its way.
The battle for the AFC Championship will be waged here in Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland. And after 60 minutes of football war, we will know whether it's the Baltimore Ravens or the Oakland Raiders moving on to play the New York Giants in Super Bowl 35 2 weeks from today. Those on hand to bear witness lean heavily toward the silver and black. Thanks to a vocal and devoted fan base, the Raiders enjoy a strong and noisy home field atmosphere. They began their vigil last night. They're fired up now. They will get more frenzied as this championship day unfolds. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this AFC Championship here on CBS. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with Phil Simms. Here are the facts and the cold, hard numbers. No team was better at running the football in the NFL this year than the Raiders, 154 yards a game. No team in the league was better at stopping the run than the Ravens, allowing 60 yards a game. Two very intense teams. Let's talk about the main characters. Rich Gannon runs the Raider offense, and he is the key to Oakland Super Bowl hopes.
Well, Greg, you can say a lot of nice things about the Oakland Raiders, but the reason why they're here in this game today is Rich Gannon, very mobile in the pocket. He has quick feet. He can get outside. He can run the football. But most importantly, he throws the football very well on the run.
He goes against a Baltimore defense that is just plain tough. And they don't come any tougher than middle linebacker Ray Lewis.
Well, Ray Lewis, he just happens to be the best player in that defense. But there are 11 good ones over there. Ray Lewis, it's hard to block him. And he is the best tackler in the National Football League.
What's at stake here today? Only a trip to Tampa and a berth in Super Bowl 35. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in just a moment.
You heard about Benny the Bison?
No, what?
He never checked out the risk and overall performance of those mutual funds he bought.
Well, Benny's no brain surgeon, right?
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we created a smarter kind of investor with tools like the Schwab Select List, which highlights historically high-performing mutual funds. Visit schwabwelcome.com to order a free copy of the Select List.
You don't do your homework, you end up looking ridiculous.
Added up to here with all the talk of Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens defense. Andre Rison and several other players told me on the field before the game, is enough with this one-man wrecking crew stuff. We will win this game as we have all season as a team. Speaking of which, John Gruden just moments ago spoke to his team and said, play hard, play together, and play for 60 minutes. Now let's go over to the Ravens sideline and Bonnie Bernstein.
For the first time this year, Brian Billick decided to have his players give the pregame speech at last night's team meeting. Shannon Sharp, Rod Woodson, and Ray Lewis talked about the emotion of being 60 minutes from the Super Bowl and told their teammates to savor how close these guys are because it doesn't happen that often. Billick said Shannon's won 2 Super Bowls, Rod's been there, and Ray's our team leader. They needed to be talking because this game is all about them, and it has nothing to do with me. Greg?
Bonnie, Armin, thank you. The Baltimore Ravens will kick off to Oakland. The Ravens, 14-4, winners of 9 straight. The Oakland Raiders, 13-4 on the season, 8-1 at home this year, including 7 in a row.
The excitement of the crowd is here, Greg. We were here last week. They were pumped up. It's bigger this week. I can just hear it, and it's probably good the Baltimore Ravens lost the coin toss because I always think the visiting team, it's much easier to start out on defense. It takes away some of the nerves.
Matt Stover, the 11th year veteran out of Louisiana Tech, will kick it away, number 88. David Dunn is deep, along with number 27, Calvin Branch. The New York Giants, victorious today. They've earned a trip to Tampa, as will the winner here this afternoon. And we're underway. This will be David Dunn at the 4. To the 25, out to the 30. Dwayne Starks makes the stop after a 27-yard return, and Rich Gannon enjoyed a tremendous season, earning a 2nd straight trip to the Pro Bowl. He throws for touchdowns, he runs for touchdowns, and he takes good care of the football, Phil.
He does it all, Greg, and he's probably been the biggest surprise story in the National Football League this year. The thing with Rich Gannon, good decision maker, moves in the pocket, always looks to throw, and when it's not there, he's able to scramble just far enough to pick up big first downs.
Line of scrimmage, the Raider 32-yard line. Tyrone Wheatley carries on first down and gets very, very little. Let's go to the offensive line.
You look at the Raiders' offensive line, the big thing, they are big and they like to run the football straight ahead.
Zach Crockett starts in the backfield with Tyrone Wheatley, but John Ritchie will also see action. Veteran Tim Brown, Speedy James Jett, the wideouts. Ricky Dudley starts at tight end. Wheatley is now the solo back behind Gannon on 2nd and 10. Now Dudley shifts into position ahead of Wheatley. Whistles blow, flags fly.
They stood at the line of scrimmage way too long, makes offensive linemen and even outside receivers get jumpy.
Bill Carollo is our official today.
Prior to the snap, false start. 65, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Baltimore's defensive line up front, quick and active ends, Rob Burnett and Michael McCrary. 2 human mountains at tackle, Sam Adams and Tony Siragusa.
Look at the linebackers, Bullware, Lewis and Sharper. Ray Lewis is the key.
Starks and McAllister at the corners. Corey Harris replaces injured Kim Herring and starts at safety with Pro Bowler Rod Woodson. Gannon to throw his first pass of the day. That one is complete to number 87, Jeremy Brigham, his tight end. Out to about the 34-yard line.
Well, Greg, I think it's been well documented. If you're not even a football fan, this week you know one thing. Hey, the Baltimore Ravens, they're really good at stopping the running game. So the Raiders, they want to try to run it, but they know they're going against the Ravens' strength. Look for a lot of short passes, especially over the middle of the football.
3rd and 8 now, and Crockett and Randy Jordan are in the lineup. Gannon goes down at the 24-yard line. Michael McCrary came charging in from his defensive end position.
Boy, a couple things went wrong for the Oakland Raiders. You could tell they're at the line of scrimmage. They're confused. A lot of talking's going on. The snap count, it's not on time, and that causes a sack. They're trying to figure out who's going to block who, and it's making it difficult. That's why they had 2 mishaps on the first series.
Kyle Richardson. Jermaine Lewis, look at the booming punt gotten off by Shane Lechler all the way back inside his own 15-yard line. Lewis looking for running room and finds a little bit forward across the 25-yard line. Travian Smith with the stop, and what a kick by Shane Lechler of 64 yards. Onto the field now, Baltimore quarterback Trent Dilfer. Didn't happen for him at Tampa Bay, but it has in Baltimore. This is his 11th straight start since becoming the starting quarterback for the Ravens in late October. He is 9-1 as the starting QB.
Don't let the numbers fool you. Brian Billick, the head coach, says Trent Dilfer is resourceful. So in other words, if he has to make some plays, he always finds the way to get it done.
Dilfer to throw on first down. The slant is complete to number 87, Qadri Ismail. That's enough for a first down. 18 yards on the play.
The one thing I said to you during warm-ups, Greg, he must have thrown this route 15 times in warm-ups, and I said, Trent Dilfer is throwing the football extremely well. This Baltimore Ravens team, they want to spread Oakland out a little today. They think they can throw the football down the field. That is the weak spot of the Raiders defense.
Ismail made that play in front of the 6-time Pro Bowl cornerback Eric Allen. On first down, the give is to Jamal Lewis, and Lewis across the 45 to about the 47-yard line. A look at the Ravens offensive line.
The Ravens offensive line, everybody knows Jonathan Ogden, but the other guys you see up front, they're doing a good job too.
The outstanding rookie Jamal Lewis teams with veteran Sam Gash in the backfield, Ismail and Patrick Johnson the wide receivers. Tight end Shannon Sharp is the Ravens' leading receiver. Brian Billick, his team 7-2 away from home this season. Dilfer to throw. Out here to Lewis. And Lewis to the line of scrimmage and maybe another yard or so on the play. Call it a 1-yard game, 3rd and 6. The Oakland defensive front, Tony Bryant, Grady Jackson, Darrell Russell, Reagan Upshaw.
And the Raider linebackers, you have William Thomas, Greg Biekert, and Elijah Alexander.
The secondary features ball-hawking cornerbacks Charles Woodson and Eric Allen, hard-hitting safeties in Marquez Pope and Anthony Dorsett, and Chuck Bresnahan runs the Oakland defense. Priest Holmes, number 33, is now into the game for Baltimore on offense on 3rd and 6. Dilfer on the move. Midfield, looking for first down yardage, and he is going to be very close. Greg Biekert makes the stop.
It's a good job by Trent Dilfer. Nobody open down the field. Decides to run it. And Greg Biekert, watching number 54, kind of mirrors the quarterback, does a good job seeing him come up, makes a strong tackle.
We will get a measurement for the first down as you look at the statistics on Greg Biekert. It's a first down for the Ravens.
You know, the one thing, Greg, you come into an environment like this, the crowd is really noisy. It is tough for a quarterback to communicate to his offensive lineman, but once you get a first down or two, it really eases the tension and the nerves of your team, and now you have a chance to execute.
Split backfield, Lewis and Priest Holmes. Straight ahead is Priest Holmes to about the 45-yard line of the Raiders. A gain of 2, it'll be 2nd and 8.
Well, we talked to Brian Billick yesterday, and he says, look, if I'm talking to you guys in 2 weeks, it's going to be because Priest Holmes is going to have a big game today. They want to get him into the lineup, throw the football to him, but more importantly, they want to spread the Raider defense out, 3 wide receivers, create some space, because they think Priest Holmes can take the football, make people miss, and cut it back and get some big runs.
Holmes and Lewis again in the backfield. Dilfer sets up the screen out here to Lewis. Lewis to the 45, forward to the 40-yard line. Eric Allen makes the stop after a pickup of 5, and it'll be 3rd and 3.
Well, you can see it's a really nice game plan so far by the Ravens. Keeping the Raiders a little off balance, not just running the football up inside every single time. Shannon Sharp, number 82, tight end outside. Nice job of getting Marquez Pope on the ground on the screenplay.
The Ravens need the 37-yard line for a first down. This the 7th play of this drive. Quick drop, Dilfer throws, that is incomplete, knocked down by number 49, Marquez Pope.
Now that's a good matchup for the Oakland Raiders. Everybody wants to know, how can you match up against Shannon Sharp? Marquez Pope is a safety, but he's played corner in the National Football League, so he can cover, has the speed to run down the field with Shannon Sharp, and that is just a good defensive play, no penalty there.
Trent Dilfer had completed 3 straight before that incompletion. Darian Gordon stands at his own 10-yard line to await the kick from Kyle Richardson, who had 2 punts blocked last week at Tennessee. Puts it up high and floats it into the end zone. The Raiders will start from their own 20-yard line when we come back. 8:46 to play in the first quarter of a scoreless championship game in Oakland. Part of the Raider faithful here at Network Associates Coliseum. Tony Siragusa gets his stance on defense. First down, Oakland from their own 20-yard line. Gannon to throw. Quick pass complete to the 23-yard line. James Jett and Peter Boulware was right there on him. We'll call it a 4-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 6.
You know, Greg, a couple things to look for when you're looking at this Raven defense. One, a lot of people wanted to know this week, are they going to be tired? Last week against the Tennessee Titans, a very physical game, and they were on the field for 81 plays. So Brian Billick during the week, they basically did not have practice. They went out, walked through plays. All they really worried about, getting rested and ready to play today's game.
Wheatley alone back on 2nd and 6. Wheatley with the handoff and nothing there. Ray Lewis comes up to make the stop.
Now, this is interesting just to watch these runs by the Oakland Raiders. They said, hey, we got good linemen. We can run against this defense. They haven't seen players like us. And I kind of said to some of the Baltimore Ravens, well, the Raiders, they're going to do this and that. And they go, yeah, they look on film. They think they might be able to do something. But when you play us in person, it's a whole different thing than what you've watched in those films all weekend. Players generally undervalue the athletic ability of their opponents.
35. Gannon, quick flip, jet, not going to get away from that man, and he is pulled down at about just short of the 25-yard line. Robert Bailey with the stop for a gain of 0, and the Raiders ready to kick it away again.
Two big things, pressure on the quarterback, and Greg, when the Ravens miss a tackle, that's a story. And I've done games for 6 years. I've played in the National Football League for 15. This defense misses fewer tackles than I've ever seen. It's hard to pick them out during the course of a game.
Leckler, his second kick of the day. Jermaine Lewis from his 20. 35, 40, midfield, and finally out of bounds in Raider territory at about the 41-yard line, run out by Calvin Branch. Terrific field position for the Baltimore Ravens when we come back.
Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. And by Honda, a winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans.
Jermaine Lewis led the NFL during the regular season, averaging 16.1 yards a return and punts. He returned that one 38 yards, and the Ravens first down at the Oakland 42, Dilfer to throw. With time, goes deep, far side, it is incomplete in the end zone, intended for Qadry Ismail as Charles Woodson closed on the football.
Well, Greg, the one thing I think Trent Dilfer does that is not good for his team and gets Brian Billick upset. Qadry Ismail, look at this. He's got Woodson beat on the double move. You got to get rid of the football quicker, and you got to get in front. It's hard to overthrow Ismail. Throw it quicker and get it way out front. Let him run to it.
2nd and 10. Jamal Lewis. Grady Jackson stops him for a 1-yard gain. We remind you, you can log on at halftime to CBS Sportsline and chat live with NFL coordinators Chan Gailey and Tim Lewis. They'll be answering your questions about the game at cbs.sportsline.com.
As you look at this game, and it wasn't talked about too much, the Ravens wide receivers versus the Oakland Raiders defensive backs, that is a tremendous key. A lot of one-on-one coverage, and the Raider defensive backs need a good day.
3rd and 9. Dilfer pulls it down twice. Rolling, throws incomplete. Under a lot of pressure, he finally hit the turf. Courtesy of Darrell Russell.
Well, Darrell Russell finally gets there to put some pressure on the quarterback. But really, in the grand scheme of this game, a nice play by Trent Dilfer. He manages the game. He knows his importance to the team, and it's not real high up on the list. Wait for your time to make a play. Don't force it. Let your defense keep dictating the tempo of this game.
Richardson, sky high and short, and takes a Raven bounce inside the 10-yard line. Richardson, number 1 in the NFL with punts inside the 20-yard line. Gets one here.
Super Bowl 35.
Ravens middle linebacker Ray Lewis, who says the Tennessee game last week was a brutal game. He was still a little sore even as we talked to him yesterday morning.
Yeah, the key word was just a little.
Terry Kirby flanked as a wide receiver on first down. The give is to Wheatley, and Wheatley straight ahead for a couple.
One thing, Greg, you talk about Ray Lewis. We talk about him a lot, but we're not overstating his case. He's the middle linebacker, and of course, everything we hear when we do their games, well, nobody blocks him. You can't block him because you can't get through the defensive line to get to him. And to say it in terms that maybe people at home understand, he's like a quarterback. And his offensive line doesn't allow any sacks or for him to get hit. And that's one of the big reasons why he just makes so many tackles.
Play fake on 2nd and 7. Gannon throws to Wheatley, and Wheatley tries to shake a tackler, is out to about the 15-yard line. Jamie Sharper and Ray Lewis are there. A pickup of 3, it'll be 3rd and 4.
Now another thing to watch today, which the Baltimore Ravens alerted me to, and I didn't really think of it in his terms. He says, they said, hey, watch the Oakland Raiders offense. Yes, Rich Gannon moves around, all these things, but they never throw it down the field. So that makes the defense look inside. That's one of the reasons why they can come up and make those tackles in on those short passes for no gain.
No progress as yet for the Oakland offense today. Gannon flips, intercepted inside the 20-yard line. Robert Bailey.
2 things on that play. Of course, a terrific play by Robert Bailey. Pressure on the quarterback makes Gannon anticipate more than he wants, and Tim Brown stops on the route. Watch Tim Brown coming across. Robert Bailey anticipates. He stopped. Gannon can't see that. He can't anticipate that because he's under pressure.
49 takeaways during the regular season, led the NFL for the Ravens. A look at it from Umpcan.
Sam Adams gets through, makes too much so far, but we see a lot of this in the postseason, haven't we? Defensive rushers. That time it's Roderick Coleman. When they can't get to the quarterback, they're raising those hands and knocking the football down.
Trent Dilfer started this game 3 for 3. He is now 0 for his last 4, and Edwin Mulatalo is down on one knee. He is the starting left guard for the Ravens. And we will take a timeout with 4:14 to play in the first quarter. We're scoreless in Oakland.
Acura, introducing MDX, taking the SUV to a place it's never been before. And by Phillips, technology that's making life a little better all the time.
Kip Vickers, number 77, has come on to replace Mulatalo at the left guard position. He is a 6th-year man out of Miami. 2nd and 10 from the 19. Jamal Lewis dragged down from behind by Roderick Coleman. On that offensive line of the Ravens, Jonathan Ogden, the all-pro tackle, is the fireball.
He told us yesterday, he says, look, when things don't go well, watch him this time. Number 75, watch him in the ball's batted, turns around, and watch Trent Dilfer. Relax. Ogden says when it doesn't go well, I go to the sideline, I throw my helmet, I'm emotional that way.
3rd and 9. That's Brandon Stokely in motion. Dilfer batted down as across the line of scrimmage. Onto the field comes the field goal unit.
When you see passes getting batted down by defensive linemen, not only are they raising their hands, but that means they're getting pressure. They're pushing the pocket back, getting close enough to the quarterback where he can't create lanes or look down the field.
Roderick Coleman again.
You can see raising that hand. Brandon Stokely, number 80, was open across the middle.
Matt Stover, 45 of his last 46 have been good from inside 45 yards. This one, a 36-yarder, hit the goal post.
Working for a...
Welcome back to Oakland. Matt Stover, named to his first Pro Bowl, missed the 36-yarder.
Been a tough postseason for kickers, Greg. Al Del Greco, Mike Vanderjagt of the Indianapolis Colts.
Wheatley straight ahead for not much. A gain of 2 in the 2nd and 8. Here's Stover's kick.
As it goes up, hits the upright.
And on the Oakland sideline, John Gruden sees some hope, and so do the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, I'd like to see the other sideline. I'd like to hear it, actually. There'd be some nice words being spoken. Field goal kickers in the playoffs, the pressure has just got to be beyond belief.
Crockett and Kirby on 2nd and 8. Gannon pulls it down, takes off, and gets hit out to the 30-yard line. Keith Washington with the stop. That is what the Ravens want to keep Rich Gannon from doing today.
You know what was really amazing? The Ravens didn't seem that concerned about it. The big thing they want to do is the outside rushers go up the field, just make sure you don't get any deeper than the quarterback. In other words, don't run around behind him and let Rich Gannon step up and go sideways and get like 3 extra seconds to throw the football down the field. So far, they've done a very good job of that.
3rd and 6. Blitz gets Gannon back at the 21, and the flag is down. Jamie Sharper in on Gannon.
I guess I'm a little surprised to see.
Looks like a tripping call, perhaps.
Tripping on the Raiders. Somebody got beat. When you're desperate, you kick them. Sharper on the outside, number 55. When these linebackers get matched up against running backs, I think the Ravens like their chances of getting to the quarterback.
Number 28, offense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
Penalty is on Randy Jordan. It's declined, and Leckler will kick it away once again to Jermaine Lewis, who returned the last punt 38 yards. No length to this one. This one floats out of bounds very close to midfield. We remind you tonight on CBS, brace yourself for the biggest bond ever. Pierce Brosnan, Terry Hatcher, star in the network premiere of Tomorrow Never Dies. That's right after 60 Minutes. That's tonight on CBS. Shane Leckler has been averaging almost 47 yards a punt in the postseason here. That one all of 26 yards, and it gives the Ravens possession again, starting in Oakland territory, this time at the 49-yard line.
4 possessions by the Ravens. Every time they have been in good field position.
Jamal Lewis, the lone back. Lewis straight ahead, running room, 40. Still fighting close to the 35-yard line, and that'll be a 1st down for Baltimore after a 14-yard pickup.
Well, I've seen every play the Baltimore Ravens have had in the postseason so far, and Jamal Lewis makes more moves on this play than he did in the previous 2. Goes up inside, a little to the right, cuts back to the left, and this is one of the reasons why the Ravens were maybe thinking of playing Priest Holmes more. They give him more movement, but Jamal Lewis says he's rested and ready to do it.
Lewis again. This time met and hit at the 35-yard line by middle linebacker Greg Beaker.
And you know, it's not a knock on Jamal Lewis that they were thinking of playing Priest Holmes more. You know, to ask Brian Billick that question, why? And he goes, well, Jamal Lewis has had a terrific year. But he says if there's one thing he is, it's just a little bit impatient. That's natural for a rookie. He wants to get the football, run it up in there, hit somebody, and get some good yards.
On 2nd and 9, loose football. Ravens fall on the ball at about the 35, 34-yard line.
And that was Grady Jackson who got in there and almost caused the fumble. Well, did cause the fumble, but the Ravens very fortunate to get it back. And Grady Jackson, you see, he was going to the ground. And see, Greg, it pays to have arms that are about 7 foot long. Because Grady Jackson's going to the ground, reaches up, and still knocks the football out.
3rd and 9.
Of course, Grady Jackson, some very long arms for a guy that's 6'3".
Dilfer over the middle, incomplete, inside the 15-yard line, intended for Shannon Sharp. And we have a marker down where Dilfer went down.
Holding, 62, offense. That penalty is declined, 4th down.
That's right guard Mike Flynn.
Look to the right side. You can see Roderick Coleman. Oh, that's easy. Got his hand in front and got some jersey and pressure.
Everything.
He had it all. That's, well, if you're going to do it, you always say do it well. But a lot of pressure on both quarterbacks so far in the first quarter.
Richardson standing at midfield. That's Darian Gordon at his own 10-yard line. This time Gordon falls for the fair catch and pulls it in at the 10-yard line as time runs out on us here in the first quarter. It has been a defensive battle. Oakland nothing, Baltimore nothing. Back to Network Associates Coliseum for the start of the second quarter after this. Don't forget the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Jim, Mike, Craig, Jerry, and Randy. First half analysis and a look at the NFC Championship game from earlier today. It's coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. They went adventuring.
Yeah, they did. I was proud of them. They had the courage to go in the black hole, the section of the fans, the pregame show before the game started. Now I want to know this: if the Raiders are down 10-0, will they go up in there at halftime? That's what I want to know. Do you have some courage? Jerry will, because he doesn't care. Look at the Raider offense.
Crockett and Kirby split behind Gannon. Play clock down to 6, 5. Movement on the far side as Rob Burnett jumps.
I think he was drawn offsides. See?
Offside.
That was right.
Offside, defense, number 90, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty.
That's Rob Burnett, the 11th year man out of Syracuse. And well, there's all kinds of movement on the defensive side of the ball.
I was right. He was drawn offsides by his own guy. See Sam Adams inside flinched, and Rich Gannon taking a lot of time at the line of scrimmage and barking out a lot of orders to his players.
So now it's a 1st and 5. Gannon throws over the middle. That's complete across the 30-yard line to Andre Rison. First down, Oakland. 16 yards on the play.
Now that was a good call that time. The Ravens defense is daring this Raider offense to throw these footballs down the field. They're getting single guy. Look at Starks, Dwayne Starks. Nobody helping him against Andre Rison, and Andre Rison is a very good route runner. Can run those in cuts, run to the sideline, and can deceive defenders enough to get open.
Gannon with some room to work now. Out to his own 31, going to throw it again. He throws it over the middle. It's incomplete. And number 95 was in on him. That was Sam Adams. Let's find out what it's like down on the field. Armin Katayan.
Greg, you just showed those numbers a moment ago for the Raiders offense. I can tell you the frustration is definitely seeping in down here on the sidelines. Moments ago, Rich Gannon was shaking his head along with Lincoln Kennedy. Let's throw it over to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, I'm kind of surprised for as emotional, as much trash talking this team's done in the last couple of weeks. A very quiet sideline here at Baltimore. Perhaps the most emotional player, Jonathan Ogden, who a few minutes ago we saw having a few choice words with Trent Dilfer on the field. Greg.
All right, Bonnie and Armin, thank you. Tyrone Wheatley dips to the outside. He's out to about the 35 before Dwayne Starks pulls him down. 4-yard gain. It'll be 3rd and 6.
Well, it's an interesting thing that Armin Katayan was talking about. Now, look, when you're going to play this Raven defense, you just know it's going to be rough and it's going to be ugly. And you got to be patient. Score 0-0. If I was a Raider offensive player, I'd be going, great. You know, we withstood 4 times where the Ravens had good field position. They got no points. You know, just play it close to the vest. Don't take chances and wait for that opportunity to come.
Gannon needs the 41-yard line for a first down. Another jump. Penalty markers fly. Gannon looking around, now rolls. Nobody over there as a receiver, so he's going to run it out of bounds. Michael McCrary was the Raven who jumped.
There's Marvin Lewis, defensive coordinator. Offsides. Look, you're a defensive coach. You allow your pass rushers one of these a game, but this is 3. Time to quit trying to anticipate every play.
Defense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
So it'll be 3rd and 1.
You know, Greg, you got it. We hear it so much from the Ravens. Play team defense. Don't try to do something extraordinary. Just wait. It'll come to you. So when you're trying to anticipate too much, you're hurting your defense by jumping off sides.
Wheatley doesn't get the first down.
Not even close.
Comes to a screeching halt at the 40-yard line for no gain. Lewis and Sharper were there to meet him.
And just everybody. That was just the inside guys. Webster, Dalton, the linebacker. Tyrone Wheatley smashed it up in there and went straight down.
Raiders now 0 for 5 on 3rd downs, and Jamal Lewis back to take the punt from Leckler. Leckler's going to want to get a little distance on this one. Oh, and he does. Lewis from his 7. And is buried at the 12. Randy Jordan led the charge. 54-yard punt, an 8-yard return. And does this look like it's a championship game? Is there a lot at stake? Only a trip to the Super Bowl. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Kate, and Bonnie Bernstein back in Oakland. One of the fond nicknames that the players have for their head coach, John Gruden, is Chucky, and there are plenty of those in the stands today. Just 50 total yards for the Ravens, even less, and down goes Dilfer inside the 5-yard line. William Thomas.
That was just everybody, Greg. The inside, Darrell Russell, Grady Jackson, Thomas, number 59. They just run over the Baltimore offensive line. And that is a spot you got to be careful. If you're the Ravens, the big mismatch in this game as far as their offense is the Raiders' inside defensive linemen. They cannot block Darrell Russell or Grady Jackson one-on-one.
Loss of 8 makes it 2nd and 18. On the ground. Not much there. Darrell Russell in on the stop of Jamal Lewis. We want to remind you, be sure to tune in. The E-Trade Super Bowl 35 halftime show. 2 of music's hottest artists, Aerosmith and NSYNC, perform live. That's coming Super Sunday on CBS. Chuck Bresnahan cheering his defense on, and look at all of the fans on their feet, especially down at this end of the stadium. 3rd and 18. Dilfer from his end zone, over the middle, that's complete. Shannon Sharp, room to run. Sharp to the 40, to the 30. Gonna make it to the end zone for the touchdown. 96 yards, and the Ravens are on the board.
What a play. Listen to how quiet it is here in this stadium. Shannon Sharp has been the only big plays this offense has made so far in the postseason. 82 going to come down to slant inside. Marquez Pope gets out of position. Where are the safeties? Nobody in the middle of the field. They're looking outside, and Shannon Sharp, keep the ball down until you cross the goal line. You're not faster than everybody else nowadays, but what a throw by Trent Dilfer and a terrific play by Shannon Sharp.
5 receptions for Shannon Sharp this postseason, 3 of them for 50 or more yards. Stover's extra point attempt is good. 11:08 to play in the first half. Trent Dilfer's 96-yard touchdown pass has Baltimore up 7-0.
With a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. IBM, taking e-business and your business to the next level. And by GMC, from professional-grade people come professional-grade trucks.
The Monster.com blimp Skeeter providing us with these live aerial shots of the game today. Skeeter is the name of the red monster on the bottom of the blimp, one of Monster's many characters. The Ravens kick. David Dunn takes it on a bounce at the 13-yard line and is down. And let's go back to the touchdown.
Look what happens. The Raiders are in a very safe defense. Shannon Sharp's going to run across the middle. Watch Anthony Dorsett. He's the deep safety. He's the guy that's got to stay behind, prevent the big play. He's too aggressive. He overcommits. And look, nobody else in the picture unless Shannon Sharp run down the field for a touchdown.
Phil, I saw Marquez Pope pull his arm back and away from Shannon Sharp right in the middle of the play.
Greg, he did that because he committed too quickly. He was afraid of having a pass interference call called against him, so he pulled his arm back.
As you saw, that touchdown pass, the longest completion in postseason history. Pass out here is incomplete, intended for James Jett, and down on the ground now is Rich Gannon.
Rich Gannon's arm was hit as he was throwing the football. And when you see him down the field this long, it is not good news. Watch Rich Gannon. Looks outside. It's Saragusa. I can't tell. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. I don't know what he hurt. No. Oh, Saragusa just falls on him. That's what it is. 342 pounds. Watch as he falls.
Ooh.
That's illegal. That is absolutely illegal. He falls and lets his body weight go up in the air and fall down on the quarterback. That is illegal.
Comes under the category of driving the quarterback into the turf.
Yes, it does. I thought maybe when he was throwing, Saragusa's arm hit his arm. We saw that last week. Ray Lewis did it to Steve McNair in the game. Well, that's good news for the Raiders.
Here comes Bobby Hoying. And you see that he has not seen any action at all since the 24th of September. During the regular season, he threw 2 passes, completed neither of them. No touchdowns, no interceptions.
Now, you know, go back to Rich Gannon. Looks like he's going to be okay and come back into this game, Greg, and I'm just guessing. But he's a big quarterback. It's about 6'3", 215 or 20 pounds, and we'll take that back. He's going to walk into the locker room, Rich Gannon is.
Meanwhile, Hoying goes to work at the 13-yard line, and the give is to Wheatley, and Wheatley goes nowhere. Spun around at the 11 or 12-yard line by Ray Lewis.
Oh, you know what happens, too? You get the starting quarterback out of there, and this Baltimore Ravens defense, they're like, oh, this is good. That just gives them more emotion.
Rich Gannon proceeds on into the Oakland locker room, and we will get a report on him as soon as we can. But take a look at number 52.
Oh, look at that. He guessed where the run was going, anticipated, got there before any offensive lineman could even get in position to throw a block on him.
Crockett and Jordan, and a whistle now on the field. And timeout is called by Baltimore.
Timeout, Baltimore.
So the Ravens call the timeout, stop the clock with 10:20 to play here in the first half. Onto the field now, and the defensive secondary for the Raiders. He intercepted 2 passes in the Raider win over the Miami Dolphins a week ago. Dilford throws far side, complete to Brandon Stokely. Stokely diving for first down yardage. Doesn't appear to have gotten there. Anthony Dorsett and Torrey James with the stop.
Now, you know, this is, okay, they marked it where he went out of bounds. Let's say Brian Billick does not even hesitate. He has his field goal unit sprinting out in the field. Of course, I would too. My defense is playing as well as his is. 10-0 is a lot to overcome.
Stover hit the uprights from 36 yards. This one from 31. And it is good. 8:19 to play, and the Ravens have taken some of the fire out of this Oakland crowd. Baltimore with a 10-0 lead.
I almost choked on my pork rinds, but if you want Mr. Lombardi's trophy, you got to show me something more.
You are watching CBS Sports, home of Super Bowl 35.
A few moments ago, Rich Gannon underneath the stadium, walking through a hallway on his way to X-ray, stops, takes a look, sees an interception he doesn't like and continues on. We'll wait for the result. David Dunn from the 5, the 20, 25, 30, runs into his own man and falls forward to about the 32 or 33-yard line. Sunday, February 4th, the brightest stars show off in Honolulu at the 2001 Pro Bowl. Check local listings for time and channel. Bobby Hoying once again in the quarterback, and once again, Phil, I know you're going to preach patience here.
Oh, Greg, absolutely. If they're not wide open, don't even think of throwing it. You know, let this game play a little, see what happens, see if your defense can give you an opportunity to get something done, or maybe John Gruden's got a play in there that can fool this Raven defense and get somebody wide open.
John Gruden sends double tight ends out on first down. Hoying throwing, far side. Brown was open, but he underthrew it, and it's incomplete.
Now, it's going to take a couple plays and a couple throws for Bobby Hoying to get rid of the nerves and get used to this football game, and hasn't played basically this year. But how about this? AFC Championship game, not a big deal. Against, without question, the best defense in the NFL this year. That's nothing, Bobby, you can do it. So, you know, what a tough spot to come in if you're the backup quarterback.
Ravens this year are 14-0 when they score 10 or more points. Hoying throws out in the flat. That's complete to Zach Crockett, out of bounds, just across the 35-yard line.
Well, that's the one place you can take advantage, I think, of this Raven defense. Short passes underneath the pass coverage, and you saw Bobby Hoying do that. Now, John Gruden told us on Friday, we actually talked about Bobby Hoying for a while, and he goes, hey, I am working this guy hard. He believes this is the quarterback that's going to take over when Rich Gannon decides in a few years or whenever it is, he steps down. He thinks Bobby Hoying has it all. Size, can move around, and a very good throwing arm.
On third down, Hoying steps up, pulls it down, going to run, diving at the 40-yard line. He'll be about 2 yards short of a first down. Guess who was there to meet him at the 40? Ray Lewis.
You didn't let me guess.
You knew.
But I would have guessed. My first three choices would have been Ray Lewis, number 52. He does a lot of this in passing situations. Just kind of goes back, and that's why it's hard for mobile quarterbacks to run against their defense. Did you see? He's always looking in the backfield, seeing where the quarterback is at.
Leckler to kick to Jermaine Lewis. Bouncing at the 25, rolling inside the 20, and a penalty marker is down. This one came from way back up the field. That's a 41-yard punt, and the penalty appears to be holding against the Ravens.
And a 25-yard throw of the flag, right?
Oh.
That counts you out. You couldn't be an official. You don't have a good enough arm.
You take away Shannon Sharp, that's the longest pass of the day.
Holding, 21, receiving team. While the kick was in the air, half the distance to the goal, first down, timeout.
That's Chris McAllister, the fine, talented cornerback. And he's working on Johnny Harris here and just pulled him right down.
And your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. And by Fidelity, all the expertise, service, and technology to help you see yourself succeeding.
6:57 to play in the first half. 10-0 Baltimore, and the Raiders gain a little bit in field position here. Total offense, the Ravens have a huge advantage, thanks, of course, that 96-yard touchdown pass to Shannon Sharp. Jamal Lewis. And Lewis finds running room out to about the 14-yard line, close to the 15. A pickup of 5, it'll be 2nd and 5. And this Raider defense, as we were talking to the team, Phil, on Friday, the defense came in on their day off on Tuesday and watched film. Every last one of them led by middle linebacker Greg Beaker.
Yeah, it kind of says a lot about the atmosphere John Gruden has created out here for the Raiders. They take a lot of things upon themselves. Hey, Greg, that says That says a lot. That's why they've had a terrific year.
Nothing there. Greg Biekert with a stop, and let's check in with Armin.
Greg, an update on Rich Gannon. I'm told they're taking a look at Gannon's left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, so a bit of good news if you're a Raiders fan. Back to you.
All right, Armin. Clock continues to move, coming up on 6 minutes to play here in the second quarter.
Well, you know, Greg, look, your starting quarterback's down. Everybody in this Raider team knows what it's going to take now, and it's going to take an extremely good effort by the defense. They got to create good field position for their offense, because you cannot drive the length of the field against the Ravens defense.
Stokely in motion. The give straight ahead. Priest Holmes. Holmes to the 20, and he has enough for a first down.
Well, we talked about you want to get field position. This is a big first down by the Ravens, and they play it safe. Look at that. Darrell Russell, 96, play pass, came up the field. Everybody drops back, and before they realize it's a running play, a trap inside, Priest Holmes gets the first down.
So out from under the shadow of their own goalpost, the line of scrimmage now, the 20-yard line. Jamal Lewis to about the 22. And now the marker is down in the backfield. That one thrown by referee Bill Carollo. Holding will back the Ravens up.
Which sets another big break for the Raiders. Again, a good chance to establish that field position, but the Ravens up 10-0. You think their offense is boring? Well, if you think it's boring, now you can look at it. They're going to grind this thing, and if I was a Raider, I would always play run first.
Holding, 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Kip Vickers, who is in for injured Edwin Mulatalo, is guilty of the hold, and it'll be 1st and 20 for Brian Billick's offense.
You know, if you look at their first two playoff games, the Ravens I'm talking about, their offense, they act like a 7-0 lead. It's like 24-0. They go into a shell. They are going to do everything they can to prevent from making a mistake.
The Raider crowd comes back into the game. Pass over the middle is complete. Slipping a tackle is Jamal Lewis, and Lewis out to about the 25-yard line. So they get a chunk of it back. 15 yards on the play, and it'll be 2nd and 5.
Nice play call by Matt Cavanaugh. He is the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Not a pretty pass by Trent Dilfer. He made that short pass look like some work, but again, nobody around him. There's Matt Cavanaugh. Calls all the plays for the Ravens. Brian Billick does not get in the way.
2nd and 5. Priest Holmes is knocked down at about the 24-yard line. William Thomas leading the charge. A loss of 1 will make it 3rd and 6. Now, we've talked about those big guys in the middle of the Baltimore defense. Grady Jackson and Darrell Russell can hold their own in any size and weight contest.
Well, that's true. You know, I was talking to Jerry Glanville last night, and he says, hey, there is no way this Baltimore Ravens offensive line can block either one of those guys one-on-one.
And a whistle on the field, and the Raiders call timeout. With 3:23 to play, Oakland uses its first timeout, and we'll take a quick timeout and come right back. It's Coliseum, and a big 3rd down for the Raider defense here. 3rd and 6. Dilfer throws, incomplete, had his man, Qadri Ismail, who couldn't hold on at the 35-yard line, and the Raiders will get the football back.
Perfect throw by Trent Dilfer. You're up 10-0. Two things. Blitz, he stands in there, and watch this, throws it down low, hits Ismail right in the chest. And you know why he drops that? It's because they throw the football so infrequently to their wide receivers, they get no rhythm. It's hard for them to feel relaxed. Hey, the ball's coming. They're going, what is it? That's something new. Haven't seen it in a long time.
Darian Gordon back at his own 35-yard line. Richardson gets a high floater away from the 26. Gordon still on his feet, and now down at about the 33-yard line. Anthony Mitchell led the charge after an 8-yard return. Tuesday on America's #1 action drama, Jag, a drill sergeant admits to killing 2 of his own men. So why is he being defended by the law? David James Elliott and Catherine Bell star in a controversial new Jag Tuesday on CBS.
You know, Greg, go back to those Baltimore Raven wide receivers. Just think about it. You're a shooting guard on a basketball team. If you don't get to shoot, it's hard to be good, right? And it's the same for those wide receivers. It's frustrating. It's hard. There's no rhythm as far as you're concerned in being part of the game. And, well, you got to get used to it. That's just the way your team is built.
Coming this way, Chris McAllister makes the stop on Tyrone Wheatley.
Well, when you talk about this Ravens defense, where is the weak spot? It is, and I keep hearing, well, you can throw on the corners. Well, I've watched 4 games. I haven't seen the weakness at corner. And you think, well, let's run the ball outside. Well, these corners, McAllister especially, is big. He's physical. He loves the contact, loves to tackle those runners.
Loss of 6 on the play makes it a 2nd and 16. Bobby Hoying in for an injured Rich Gannon, who is still in the locker room. Deep drop for Hoying. Pulls it down. Gonna run with it. Sliding down at the 34-yard line. Ray Lewis led the charge. A pickup of 5. It'll be 3rd and 11. Rich Gannon was set upon, and I don't know that you can, well, it was basically an earthquake.
Tony Siragusa comes around, then gets a free shot in there. And we've talked to Tony Siragusa many times. He says he's 342. I wouldn't take the under.
2-minute warning is here. 2 minutes to play in the first half. And the Baltimore Ravens lead at 10-0. Rich Gannon back onto the field, warming up on the sideline. Hoying is still the quarterback. Steps up, throws over the middle, finds his man. And Tim Brown makes his first reception of the day at the 40-yard line.
There's Rich Gannon. Hey, you know, go back to that catch by Tim Brown. How would you like, you see Gannon's statistics, to go over the middle, turn your back to the defense, and see the football coming at you? You know, watch 52. Way back in your picture, Tim Brown turns around, and watch how fast he closes. And there's the hit. It's hard to protect yourself in that situation.
Jermaine Lewis to receive the kick from Shane Leckler. This one bouncing at the 20 and will roll to a stop at the 16-yard line. And we'll remind you, coming up in the NASDAQ.com halftime report, Jim, Mike, Craig, Jerry, Randy, first half analysis. Look at the NFC Championship game from earlier today. That's coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Shane Leckler seems to be slow coming off the field on the near side as you watch Gannon throwing and hoping to have another shot before halftime hits.
He looks comfortable. You know, he's not making faces as he throws. Look at Shane Leckler.
Let's go back and watch what happens with Leckler. Nothing that we can tell. First down from the 16-yard line. Priest Holmes. And Holmes is wrapped up by Darrell Russell and Greg Biekert. 3-yard gain will make it 2nd and 7. John Gruden going to have to try to figure something out at halftime, and I'm sure his first order of business will be to determine whether or not Rich Gannon will be able to play. Leckler massaging his right calf.
You know, a couple things, and Greg, we talked about it in the game. We've seen the Ravens defense 81 plays last week. They're not tired, and the Oakland Raiders have found out they're better in person than they were on film, and you got to go in and realize that, make some adjustments, and play a different type of football game in the second half.
Holmes again. And he's going nowhere. And now the Raiders use a timeout to stop the clock with 22 seconds to play. They're looking at a 3rd and 7. The Raiders are down to 1 timeout.
You know, you look at a situation like this.
Gannon goes back to the locker room.
Well, he knows probably not, maybe not going to get a shot before halftime. Who knows? I don't know why he went back in there, but you look at Trent Dilfer, he goes to the sideline, and just to show you how he understands his role on this football team. They were in a situation late in the game. Brian Billick wants to throw a pass to get a first down. Maybe at the end of the game, they're up, and he gives the pass to Trent, gives him all the, don't do this, and Trent looks at him and says, Coach, we don't need to do that. Let's just run it, let's punt it, and don't worry about it. And he goes, you know, you're right. Let's just punt it and let our defense, the strength of our team, you know, finalize the outcome.
And Trent Dilfer is trying not to think ahead, but how can he not, with so much criticism that he received in Tampa, to be able to go back to that city and play in the Super Bowl as quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. 3rd and 7. Dilfer on the move, penalty marker is down, he throws deep, and it is caught. Qadry Ismail has the ball, and a marker is down back. And it's going to be a holding call against Baltimore. That's Jonathan Ogden raising a fuss. All 6'8", 340 pounds of him.
Greg, I had to yell, I'm sorry, but nobody was down the field.
Holding, 75, offense. Half the distance to the goal. We play 3rd down.
The penalty is on Ogden.
Jonathan Ogden, the left tackle, watched the hold. Got the jersey against Reagan Upshaw. That's why Bill Carolla saw it. You can see the hold there. But Qadry Ismail is so wide open down the sideline. He is 20 yards past the defense, and Trent Dilfer can't even get it out there far enough. Look at him. Nobody's around. Anthony Dorsett saw him late and hustled over there to make the play close.
3rd and 16. And the give is to Priest Holmes to try to run out the clock here. And the Raiders call a timeout with 6 seconds to play.
And they should. They've almost blocked the punt so far today. And don't forget, the Ravens, they had a couple. Well, you brought that up to Brian Billick, that he had some punts blocked last week, Greg, and he was real happy you brought that up to him.
Did you work at all on punt blocking? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, we were having a nice conversation until then. He had to go to a meeting right after that.
Darian Gordon and Ogden. You know, Jonathan Ogden, as nice a guy as you could talk to yesterday, but I don't know what he's upset about. He did everything but tie Reagan Upshaw and send him home in a box. Darian Gordon standing around midfield. Richardson gets it away. Gordon calls for a fair catch. Dropped the football. Covered by the Raiders. And time will expire here in the first half. The opportunistic Baltimore Ravens. And now Jonathan Ogden is still screaming about the penalty calls on him. 10-0 Baltimore. Let's go down to Harmon.
John, first of all, any update on the severity of Rich's injury and whether he'll return?
No, we're concerned about his collarbone, and we'll get more information, I think, at halftime. In the meantime, we just got to play with the guys we have and do a better job than we did in the first half.
That kind of leads to the second question. How do you dig out of this hole against the Ravens?
Well, it's a 10-0 ball game. We just got to get something going, put some first downs together. Got to make a big play.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Greg?
All right, Armin, our halftime score. Baltimore 10, Oakland nothing. Coming up, we'll be sending you downstairs for the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Jim, Mike, Craig, Jerry, Randy, first half analysis and a look at the NFC Championship game earlier. All of that after these messages from your local station.
A great job as a defensive coordinator of giving mismatches on his defense.
And I talked about before the game that the Lewises, for you folks out there to keep an eye on, one way or the other, be real good for Baltimore. Look at what the Lewises did in the first half. Jamal Lewis and that offensive line have pounded the ball. They're giving them a steady diet of that. 13-yarder there. Jermaine Lewis on a big punt return, 38 yards, setting up the field position game for Baltimore, and Ray Lewis and this defense has stuffed the running game of the Oakland Raiders. 38 yards so far offensively, 1 first down, and that's all Marvin Lewis coming through for the Baltimore Ravens as the defensive coordinator.
Marvin Lewis, unbelievable. And I got to say this, in the first half I'm on the field with Jerry, and you said 4 minutes into the game, it's going to be the Ravens' day. Why did you say that?
Well, standing that close, Jim, and you and I could reach out and touch the players. There's only 4 minutes gone, and one team was calm, one team was in charge, and there's the Raiders making all the shifts, all the motion, and all the adjustments. So easy, really, for the Ravens. The Ravens been smacking them around, treating them like a redheaded stepchild is what they're doing.
Well, the winner of this game will be heading to Tampa to take on the New York Giants in Super Bowl 35. Denny Green, shutout for the first time ever as the Vikings head coach. Minnesota's worst loss since 1984. Lawrence Taylor let him out, and it was Kerry Collins with 4 first-half touchdown passes.
Well, if you look at the stats at halftime, what had happened, New York going in at third quarter had 10 plays of 15 yards or more. Minnesota had 0.
He would end up with 5 touchdown passes overall in the shutout win. Jill Arrington spoke with the Giants.
Unity, this team's going through a lot. I mean, people have been saying all year, well, the Giants can't do this, can't do that. And then, after a while, it starts to build, closeness with everybody. And I feel so strongly about the guys on this team. I think it's reciprocated. And when you have days like this, it makes it that much more special.
Coach, you told me earlier that the uniqueness of this team was its team unity and the way that they play together. Is that what won this ball game?
I really believe that that's the case without a doubt. I mean, when I talked to this team last night, I told them that, there's already one team that claims himself as America's team, but we're living the American dream. That's belief and hard work and determination is going to get you a long way, and that's what this team's doing right now.
And that is the Jim Fossil philosophy, the American dream they're living out. Giants are going back to Tampa where they won the Super Bowl 10 years ago, and they'll take on the winner of this one. Baltimore leads Oakland 10-0 at halftime. Don't forget January 28th, our coverage of Super Bowl Sunday begins at 12 noon Eastern time. And coming up, recording stars Jam Master Jay and Run of Run DMC, plus Stephen Jenkins of Third Blind Eye will perform as the NASDAQ.com halftime report continues. We'll see you on the postgame show for the presentation of the Lamar Hunt Trophy to the AFC champion.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ.com halftime report is sponsored by NASDAQ.com, the information source for the serious investor.
You want to know what my life is? I go from job to job.
Championship game. And now let's go down to the field for live coverage of today's halftime show, starring Arista recording artist Jam Master Jay and Run of Run DMC, performing with Stephen Jenkins and friends from Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, check it out. February 27th, Crown Royal. This how we gonna do it. DJ Run.
We'll come back to Oakland for more halftime festivities in a moment. But first, this message from CBS Sports.
Mutz, I say to you, so what? That's right, so what? You satisfied with a little division title, a sterling win-loss record, the respect of your peers? Or are you just hungry enough to go out there and show me something? One more time!
Okay, here's the deal. This is O.J. McDuffie of the...
Lead the Raiders by a score of 10-0. That Raven defense has lived up to advanced billing with 2 interceptions and pressure. Add in a 96-yard touchdown to Shannon Sharp. And our coverage of this AFC Championship game continues after this message from your local station.
Been defensively putting points on the board. To be this close within striking range of the Super Bowl, being on the road, our 3rd game in the playoffs, is pretty darn impressive, Greg.
All right, Bonnie, so Rich Gannon will at least start the second half. Good news for the Raiders, but what do they do here in the second half, Phil?
Well, there's nothing I have seen by the Raiders offense that would give me hope to think they could drive down the field and score touchdowns. If the Raiders want to win this game and to score those points, I think their defense is going to have to set them up and play an outstanding second half.
There are some omens that are not very good for the Oakland Raiders as they start the second half. Tyrone Wheatley, for instance, 8 carries in the first half for just 2 yards total against that Raven defense.
And Greg, we were at practice on Friday for the Raiders. There was no way they thought that something like this would happen. They had some confidence they could run the football up in there and find a way to throw it down the field.
Here's Corey Harris. And Corey Harris returns to about the 35-yard line or so, a return of 16 yards. A look at the numbers from the first half. A lot of those passing yards, 96 of them, in fact, on the touchdown pass to Shannon Sharp.
Well, you're right. You take that one play away, and there has really been no offensive production in the football game. But of course, you can't take it away. The outstanding play was the Ravens defense. They were terrific in the first half.
Kip Vickers starts at left guard. Edwin Mulatalo is out with a concussion, suffered in the first half. Jamal Lewis, Sam Gash, and straight ahead is Lewis, and not very much there. Pickup of a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and 9. So it has been a game according to form for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it has. You know, you got to remember now, the Ravens, the Raiders, when you talk about the Raiders, their offense is the 6th best offense in the National Football League. So they have stopped a very good unit, or they did in the first half.
Dilfer in trouble, goes down, courtesy of Darrell Russell.
Greg, I think we said it quite a few times today. Darrell Russell, if he does not get the sack, his partner in crime, Grady Jackson, is going to be there. 96 is Darrell Russell, splits a double team, and gets the sack on Trent Dilfer.
Loss of 10 on the play, and Dilfer is looking at a 3rd and 19. Drop, Dilfer steps up, throws, that ball is intercepted at the 40-yard line. Johnny Harris. The Ravens turn it over for the first time here in the postseason, and that's not your typical play by Trent Dilfer in the offense.
He has not done this in the postseason. Every time this offense comes on the field, watch the interception as it comes up this time, but when they step on, it's success if you just punt the football. Make the Raiders show that they can beat you before you do anything to take a chance on offense.
For the first time all day, Oakland is in Ravens territory, and Rich Gannon is the quarterback. And he'll throw, pump fake, throws far side, and underthrows his intended receiver, Jeremy Brigham. Brigham was all by himself, and the pass was low.
Well, I got to think, if Rich Gannon doesn't get hurt in the first half, that play we just saw, he had Ricky Dudley going down the field. He was open for a big gain. Hey, think about it. Gannon, his left shoulder hurts. He wants to drop back, make a decision, and get rid of the football as fast as he can.
Gannon on second down. Quick pass, complete. Pregame inside the 25-yard line, and the flag is down. Tony Siragusa says, come on back.
Tony Siragusa is wrong.
He sure is.
It's roughing the passer. It's not Tony Siragusa that did it. It's
Mike McCrary.
Mike McCrary went down low, hits him late.
So some mistakes, first on offense, now on defense, have allowed the Raiders to advance deep into Baltimore territory.
The Raiders could have not. This is exactly what they wanted coming out of the locker room. And, you know, I don't know. I was thinking, if I was the Raiders coming out, of course, I'm going to try and put a great effort forward. But you got to go, how are we going to get this done? Well, we've seen a couple ways. Baltimore's offense turns it over, and you make a bad penalty.
Wheatley and Crockett in the backfield. Tyrone Wheatley inside the 10-yard line to about the 8. Corey Harris, Jamie Sharper stop after 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Now that's like, hey, Tyrone Wheatley must have felt like he jogged a mile that time. He got 4 yards right up in the middle of a defense where there has been no yardage so far today.
If John Gruden had scripted it at halftime, it couldn't have come out any better so far. Again, the double tight ends for the Raiders. Gannon over the middle, inside the 5-yard line to about the 3 is Tim Brown.
Well, that's what you got to do. When you get inside the opponent's 10-yard line in the National Football League, you got to have some deception. 3 receivers together. Tim Brown on the outside comes to the inside, and Rich Gannon sees it's a zone. Everybody drops back, gets rid of it quick, and look at the Ravens defense. They are there immediately to make the tackle.
Line of scrimmage is the 3-yard line. 3rd and 1. Wheatley, left side, fighting for first down yardage. Harrison McAllister on the tackle.
I'm sorry, I can't talk fast enough. I was going, don't even think of running this one up in the middle again like you did on the 3rd and a couple inches earlier in the game. Wheatley goes outside. I said, oh, he might score. And he burrows in there to get a few extra inches.
How about the importance of this measurement?
Listen, if they come up short, this is an interesting call John Gruden will have to make. Do you go for the first down?
He doesn't have to worry about it.
Doesn't have to make it.
1st and goal for the Oakland Raiders.
I'll tell you what I think he would have done, since I brought it up, talk to myself all the time. I think he would have kicked the field goal. I don't think he would have taken a chance.
Although, let's face it, you don't get this deep very often against the Baltimore defense. 1st and goal from the 2-yard line.
I would usually say deception. Rich Gannon moving, faking, but I don't know how much movement we're going to see from him because of the injury to his left shoulder.
Wheatley. Not much there.
And Greg, they do it. They try to deceive the defense a little. They say, okay, let's have the fullback go left. Wheatley goes right. Watch it. They say, oh, it's got to be a run to the left, but it's not. It goes the other way, and there is nowhere to go.
Number 91, Lionel Dalton, at the bottom of that pile, making the tackle.
Jamie Sharper, their defenses usually follow the fullback. That's where the halfback usually follows. That time, the Raiders don't do it. Still don't get anything.
Gannon rolls, looks, and is dragged out of bounds at about the 7-yard line. That's Jamie Sharper.
Well, I said it earlier in this telecast. Name me the weak spot. Well, you know, the Ravens might lose this today. I don't know. But when you watch this team, Jamie Sharper, you can't even say his name. You know why? He plays on the outside. He hustles to the ball. He's in position to make a lot of tackles. The problem is 3 of the defenders beat him to it. But that time, he's plays with a lot of enthusiasm, Jamie Sharper. He has really matured, and the Ravens think he's a terrific player on the outside at linebacker.
3rd and goal. Gannon throws, incomplete. Randy Jordan hit him in the hands, and he dropped it. And the Raiders now 1 for 10 on 3rd downs today.
Nice idea. Nobody open in the end zone. Look at Randy Jordan, sneaks out late. Oh, you know, it's a pretty good throw. I do not think Randy Jordan picked that football up because of the official in front of him and one defender. He could not see it until too late.
Janikowski will line up what would be a 24-yard field goal. And it's good. 10:08 to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Raiders finally get on the board. They trail 10-3.
It's prohibited.
You can say the Raider faithful have been re-energized by the field goal that has Oakland on the board. He wants to see you after the game, Phil.
I'm looking forward to talking to him, Greg.
10:07 to play in the 3rd quarter. Janikowski to kick. This is Jermaine Lewis from the 9. Shakes a tackle. Out over the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Travion Smith, the 3rd-year man out of Oklahoma, makes the stop. 29-yard return, and we're back after this.
By Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Citibank, who reminds you there's more to life than money. Citi, live richly. And by the makers of the all-new Stratus Coupe and Sedan. Dodge, different.
Well, there's only one way to see all the action on the field. You need to be inside the Monster.com blimp. The Monster.com blimp providing us with these live aerial shots of today's game as the Ravens get started from their own 38-yard line. Jamal Lewis just across the 40-yard line. Reagan Upshaw with the stop. A pickup of 4 will make it 2nd and 6.
You know, Greg, again, if I was the Raider defense as you watch it, and most of this game so far, they're just giving no respect to the outside wide receivers of the Baltimore Ravens. They're keeping everybody in there. They're going to do everything they can to stop the running game. Look at the people near the line of scrimmage.
Lewis cuts back, leaps over a couple of would-be tacklers out to about the 45-yard line, where the safeties Pope and Dorsett converged, and it'll be a 3rd and 3. Chuck Bresnahan.
Well, Chuck Bresnahan, his first year as defensive coordinator. I remember early in the year asking John Gruden, why did you change coordinators? Why Chuck Bresnahan? He says, hey, he knows a lot about football. Probably the biggest thing is a teacher and just really communicates well with all the defensive players. They pay attention to him when he talks.
Dilfer, quick drop, quick pass, complete. Stokely inside the 45, and a 1st down to about the 42-yard line of the Oakland Raiders.
You know, we talked about early in the game, Priest Holmes. He was going to be a big part of the offense. I haven't seen that today. And the other guy, Brian Billick, says, look for Brandon Stokely, number 80. We're going to get him involved. And the one thing this guy can do when you watch him warm up or watch him in games, he is extremely fast going down the field.
1st down, Baltimore. Lewis. And Lewis is wrapped up before he gets back to the line of scrimmage. And that terrible twosome in the middle, Grady Jackson, Darrell Russell combined for a loss of a yard. It'll make it 2nd and 11.
Well, look at Grady Jackson. You know, he's about 6'3", number 90 in the middle. Weighs, I don't know what he weighs, 330 pounds. And you think, oh, it's just a big guy. But this is some athlete. High school All-State baseball player, football player. He told us the other day, I can still stand on the rim, dunk a basketball with ease.
20 points a game.
There's a reason why he's a good defensive lineman inside in the National Football League.
Dilfer on 2nd and 11 throws. It's complete inside the 20-yard line to Ben Coates.
Boy, that is a name I haven't heard in a long time. Ben Coates is down. He runs a seam pattern, something he ran 1,000 of these routes up in New England. You see Ben Coates going to go up the field. Look at the defenders, looking at the quarterback. He sneaks behind them, in between the safety up here, the corner, Marquez Pope.
And a nice job by Trent Dilfer over William Thomas, dropping it in to Ben Coates, who is still on the ground. We'll take a break and come back right after this. 2 weeks from today, right after the Super Bowl, 16 new castaways try to outwit, outplay, and outlast each other. Don't miss the premiere of this year's most talked about, most anticipated show, Survivor, the Australian Outback, after the Super Bowl here on CBS. I thought about going out for that.
Yeah, what stopped you?
I just decided not to.
Yeah, okay. You'd have a really good chance of winning, Greg.
Raven red zone offensive numbers, Jamal Lewis to about the 16-yard line. Ben Coates, incidentally, up off the field and walked off under his own power. Let's go back to the play.
Oh, he just went down so hard, got like whiplash. The back of his head hits the ground, and it's a good thing it's natural grass and not artificial turf.
So they try to work the cobwebs out on the sideline. Lewis and Holmes on 2nd and 7 in the backfield behind Dilfer. Lewis across the 15 to about the 13-yard line. Darrell Russell in on the stop. And, you know, you were talking about Grady Jackson a short while ago, and Grady credits Darrell Russell with teaching him a lot. He said, you know, what he does is he takes me aside and he helps me break down the offense.
Well, that's all. It really, I'm always interested to hear defensive linemen talk about what they do. Because you think, hey, they must just line up and hit the guy in front of them and try to make a tackle. But they sit in there, they look for a lot of little clues. They got to fight off double teams, and there's a lot to it.
Not much there for Lewis as he gets to the 11-yard line, and that time Reagan Upshaw made the stop. So onto the field, the Baltimore field goal unit led by place kicker Matt Stover.
Now that was really an important drive for the Baltimore Ravens. They ate up a lot of the time off the clock. They drive down here, they make some plays, they change field position, and now they might score some points.
4.5 minutes they took off the clock, which winds down to 5:20 to play. Stover will line this one up from 29 yards out. And the Ravens get that field goal right back. 5:08 to play in the third quarter, and Baltimore with a 13-3 lead in the 8th.
Do it your own way. Original Coors. And by Blue from American Express.
Along with Phil Simms, Armin Katayan, Bonnie Bernstein, Greg Gumbel at Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland, where the Ravens have a 13-3 lead, and the Oakland Raiders have to start figuring out some problems. And the problem is that Baltimore Raven defense.
And you saw that shot of the fans. They know too. We've noticed the crowd. Of course it's died down. They realize, wow, they're up against a lot here today to try to win this game.
Stover's kick sails into the end zone. David Dunn will down it there, and the Raiders will start from their own 20-yard line. And boy, what a defense this is that's on display, comes back onto the field.
Well, this defense does it all. No weak spots. Ray Lewis is the strength. They can rush the passer. Everybody thinks it's the defensive backs. Maybe that's where the weak spots are. Wrong.
One thing that comes through, and we've talked to them several times now, Phil, is a tremendous love for their fellow teammate on that defense, and they figure we're all out there together. We're all going to help each other.
The interesting thing is they know they're good. So just do your job. Don't ever gamble. Don't take a chance, because you don't have to. The guy next to you is going to do his job too.
John Ritchie is in the lineup now at fullback as Gannon throws and completes to Tim Brown. And Tim Brown up the sideline for a first down. Boy, how about the graphic that we just showed you? The Raiders, the leading rushing team in the NFL at 154.5 yards, 18 total rushing yards today.
Well, I like how they started this series here, Greg. Short passes, get rid of it quick, read the defense. The Ravens will let you catch it short. You just got to do a lot of them to score.
Wheatley and Ritchie lining up behind Gannon. Gannon throws. That's complete. Ricky Dudley.
I think you could tell at home Rich Gannon saw the defense. He knew he had man-to-man coverage. Everybody was going to cover one guy. So the Ravens, why he had that, they're blitzing. They get pressure on Rich Gannon. Watch him this time, though. Keeps retreating. That's Jamie Sharper gets in his face. Rich Gannon anticipates the throw, and a perfect pass to Ricky Dudley.
On 2nd and 3. Wheatley.
Oh.
Just no room to run.
You know, I really thought the Raiders could come in here and bang it up in there a little bit to get some running yards. They got one of the biggest offensive lines in football. They run it straight ahead, and you get, Greg, there is nowhere to go up in there. Tony Siragusa, now you start to understand why Tony Siragusa, Sam Adams, Dalton, Washington, why Ray Lewis makes so many tackles. They occupy all blockers up front.
3rd and 2. Quick drop by Gannon and throws incomplete to the far side, and a marker is down. Andre Rison with Chris McAllister on him, and McAllister is furious.
I couldn't tell if there was interference, but I know one thing, it didn't matter. He was not going to catch the football. The timing was not there.
Pass interference, 21, defense, automatic first down.
It's on Chris McAllister.
Watch Chris McAllister, he's in perfect position. Hard to see anything right there, but when I watched it at real speed from this area, I said, hey, that's a penalty. So the replay sometimes when you see it at home, doesn't quite tell the truth.
Midfield, 1st down, Gannon. All kinds of time and gets rid of it. And took the hit on the way down from Michael McCrary. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, it's a nice job. If you're playing this defense, you take a sack, you might as well send out your punter. You just can't overcome negative plays against the Ravens defense.
Saw Marvin Lewis, the defensive coordinator, on the sideline. We talked with Brian Billick about how many times Marvin Lewis's name has been mentioned in a head coaching job, and Brian Billick says if he's passed over by a bunch of teams, I want to schedule those guys because they're stupid.
They're stupid, yes, I know. The league will go under investigation. I believe Marvin Lewis pretty soon.
That's Barry Sims.
Jump. When I say pretty soon, within the next week or two, whenever the Super Bowl's over, if they get there, is going to get a head coaching job.
False start, 65, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
2nd and 15. Something John Gruden didn't need. 3:01 to play here in the 3rd. There is Marvin Lewis.
And you see John Gruden talking in that headset to Rich Gannon. John Gruden gives a lot of information. Rich, look out for this. Look out for that. Here's the play.
Gannon throws. That's incomplete. Intended for Brigham. And Ray Lewis was right there with him. You know, we're talking with Ray Lewis about Marvin Lewis. He says Marvin Lewis has been with him since he's gotten here. And we said, well, what's his basic philosophy on defense? Hit and tackle for 60 minutes.
You know what? I can't coach a lick of defense, but you give me these guys here, I'd be okay. I wouldn't get fired maybe. But he has done a terrific job. Sometimes the hardest thing to do when you're coaching the National Football League is to get the most out of your talent. And Marvin Lewis is absolutely getting the most out of his defense.
Another 3rd down chance for the Raiders. Gannon throws this side. John Ritchie has it. And right on top of him is James Trapp. And the Raiders will have to kick.
Well, you know, it's 3rd and long, and everybody says, well, throw it down the field. Try to pick up the 1st down. Let's just watch the receivers as they go down the field. And you tell me, is there somewhere for Rich Gannon to throw it? Excellent pass protection. Look at the receivers. Look inside. Nothing. Doubled on the outside. 2 guys on the top. Nobody to throw to.
Leckler's kick goes out of bounds, and Leckler still bothered, it appears, as he comes limping off the field by at least some soreness in his calf muscle. Raider fans want something to happen, and it's not happening now.
Anytime.
With poisonous snakes. Bring it on. Crocodiles.
Come on.
Deadly spiders. And no toilet paper? I'm out.
Me too. Not a chance.
Survivor premieres CBS Super Bowl Sunday, right after the game.
There is Baltimore Ravens owner Art Modell. Brian Billick told us yesterday the players are aware that he's been in it for 40 years. He treats them first class, and they know what this would mean to him, this meaning a trip to the Super Bowl. Jamal Lewis and Chuck Evans in the backfield behind Dilfer. And Dilfer to throw. Pulls it down and takes off. Slides down at the 23-yard line. 4 on the pickup. It'll be 2nd and 6. Nice. Trent Dilfer, if he wasn't cautious with the football before, Phil, you bet he's going to be cautious now as we get inside 2 minutes for the 3rd quarter.
I would think when he threw that interception on the first series of the 2nd half that the words were fairly strong on the sideline. Manage the game. Understand where your team is at. It takes 2 scores by the Raiders to tie or get ahead. I know Trent Dilfer knows that, so, Greg, he will be careful.
2nd and 6, play clock down to 1. Dilfer throws, sideline, complete and out of bounds. Brandon Stokely. 13 yards and a 1st down.
What a Charles Woodson was in absolutely terrific position. I thought he might make the interception when the football's in the air. Look at this throw by Trent Dilfer and a nice catch by Stokely on the sideline.
And Dilfer delivering that ball under pressure from Lance Johnstone. On 1st down, Lewis tries the right side, lost the football. Raiders come up with it. They do. Marquez Pope.
Greg, the one thing we've seen here in the 2nd half, this Raider defense is giving their team a chance. 2 turnovers, an interception, you're down 10. Elijah Alexander makes the hit, causes Jamal Lewis to lose the football.
Raider ball at the Baltimore 43-yard line. And John Gruden points the way, checks the chart.
Well, look at that, the first fumble he has lost in 4 games.
Gannon. Quick pass, incomplete, intended for Tim Brown. It'll be 2nd and 10. The thing about these Ravens turnovers, they have both occurred in their own territory.
That was a good illustration. Rich Gannon, you know, he cannot be real comfortable. The left shoulder, you know, I don't know, they probably gave him a pain shot to make him feel good enough to come back out here. To move around and throw the football, it's got to be very difficult.
Straight drop for Gannon down the middle of the field. It's intercepted. Dwayne Starks. Starks to the 30, 35, 40, and close to midfield. 34 yards on the return.
Boy, I'm sorry, Greg, but how easy did Dwayne Starks make that look? Rich Gannon throws it down the field, and Dwayne Starks is in perfect position. Look at him to the right of the screen. Gannon tries to look it off, turns and throws the football. Starks knows what's going to happen, cuts right underneath the receiver, doesn't even get close to touching Andre Rison.
tell you one thing, Phil. We've seen a couple of passes since Gannon has returned after the injury, and it doesn't appear